Go ahead, that's good.
Hey, Clay, I sent you an email that has a pretty quick turnaround by the end of this week.
One thing I'm really.
It's pretty long.
You got a camera, so.
So-
Handle it.
Got it.
Stuart Ditch, thank you.
Hey, you got a call.
Oh, are we ready? Thank you. We will start the meeting with the pledge of allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could start with roll call, please.
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz. Here. Trustee Valentine,
Here.
Trustee Check,
Here.
Trustee Peck,
Here.
Trustee Hunter. Here. Trustee Stelter.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's see, first for announcements, I just have one small announcement and it is, and you two,
Do we want to approve the agenda?
oh crap, I do it again.
You're so
Yes, we do. But I know that Trustee Valentine had something he would like to bring up before we have a motion to approve the agenda. Do you want me to do any more explanation, Trustee Valentine, or would you like to?
Probably not. I was looking at the first agenda item and there was no, there were no names on a list for the citizen committee. And I was not inclined to want to vote one way or the other without a list. So I was proposing we move it to the next meeting, to the agenda on the next meeting.
Okay, thanks for that. And yeah, Trustee.
Yeah, so this is not, well, do the trend, oh, yes. I'll put better.
So just so you know, I just worded it the way I always word things, but this isn't meant for you to vote on. The actual motion, and I double checked it in the minutes today, the actual motion was that the STR committee as it was with Trustee Schwartz, Administrator Nguyen, and Trustee Stelter, we're going to come back and let you guys know who the two citizen members were going to be, what their objectives were for the ad hoc special committee group, and the deadline that they were going to be bringing something back. So there's actually nothing for you to vote on. This was just supposed to be an update, and that was my bad. I just worded it that way.
That works.
Okay.
So you would, you don't have a recommendation to remove it or anything? Trustee Valentine, you're happy to go forward with it included?
Clarify for me then what action would we take on the unmodified agenda this evening?
It would just be It would just be you receiving an update, Trustee Valentine. And that's what I should have listed it as. I just got all agenda Friday or packet Friday, you know, and I worded it like it's an action, but it's not. It's actually an update.
So there's not really an issue, not really a problem.
No, but it's always good to ask.
Okay, with that, are you comfortable with the agenda as is, Trustee Valentine?
I am, thank you.
Okay. Unless, does anyone else have any input on the agenda? If not, can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. We will move forward to announcements. So I just have a small announcement. It has to do with how we're conducting our meetings. I realized last week I forgot to have you all sign the disbursements. And what I've decided is it's too distracting to ask you to sign things while we're in session. So what I'd like to do, because we have several documents potentially to be signed by everybody, I will not adjourn the meeting until you've all signed the documents you need to have signed tonight. And then I will adjourn the meeting so that we're still in public session. So that's the difference we'll make. And then you're not relying on me trying to remember what we're supposed to be doing. Any other announcements? Yes.
Madam Mayor, I was just gonna say, except for the IGA, if it gets approved tonight, if you guys could sign that right away.
Oh, it's all here.
Okay, yes.
It's all here in the envelope.
But before the end of the meeting, I need. to
Oh,
sit
before the end of the
after
meeting.
it's approved, if you guys will.
But am I the only signator on that?
So, yes,
So do you want, as soon as we're finished with it, you want it signed and you can go fax it or whatever?
just that one.
Fax it?
I'll do something with it, it's okay, I'll do something.
Okay, remind me, because you know,
I know.
will just keep on
I'm
going.
sorry to mess.
No, that's all right. I'll put it right on top here so I remember and okay. Unless anyone has any announcements on top of any of that, we'll move on to our public comment segment during the meeting, which is anyone in the audience or on Zoom who would like to speak to any topic not on our agenda may do so for 3 minutes by raising your hand, come to the podium and give us your name and if you live in town or out. And it doesn't look like anybody's interested in town hall. I've got 2 people. Okay, anyone on Zoom interested to speak on anything not on the agenda? It looks like no. Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda, which includes the August 12th regular meeting minutes and the August 26th disbursements. Any comments or questions?
I do have one on disbursements, so you'll see that my initials are in this packet, and I did that digitally because what happens when the finance committee is going through, there might be changes that are made, and in this instance, trustee or Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz was unable to attend, so the mayor and town clerk did, and Sam has a disbursement in there in this fiscal round or a reimbursement. And so I went ahead and okayed that one, so she didn't have to okay her own disbursement. It's an internal control process.
Any questions on disbursements or the meeting minutes? With that, do I have a motion to approve the disbursements?
I'll make a motion to approve the disbursements.
Or the consent agenda?
Oh, sorry, consent agenda. That was, sorry, my bad. Bad coaching. Phew, sorry. The consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the staff reports.
Okay, so departmental scorecard has been updated, I think, by everyone except for myself. I missed it for this go around. However, I missed it for good reason. The reason I missed it was because I was preparing what I sent to you, I believe it was yesterday, which is a budget worksheet. So this is something that's new to assist us with prioritizing service delivery levels and aligning them with what staff are suggesting as capital improvement projects. So I did send this to you as an Excel file. You can't change the cells, so I protected it. What you can do is input information. You can't change the size. You can't change if it's bold or italicized. You can put information in, and to make things easier for like the strategic plan and how you would prioritize it, there are drop-down boxes. And I wanted to take a moment to go over how this operates. So this is what we're going to use as your initial budget worksheet. I hope that you would take it home, go through it when you have time, and then it's homework. That's my way of saying. And then when we have our next, when we start our budget workshops, that's when it comes back so that we can discuss it in the workshop and align it with what staff are putting together in capital improvement. I want to go over the instructions really quick. Consider this my addition to the departmental scorecard because we are heavily in budget season. We are in it. Service or program. The first column is the service program. And so this is where you identify a specific function or activity or that unit of work that you'd like to see. So for example, in the general fund, some of those would be public services, parks and recreation, administration, and finance. Our capital improvement plan would be like sidewalk repair, town hall upgrades, fleet replacement. Anything to do with enterprise utilities like water, sewer, garbage also has different things like treatment plant, distribution system, or even like a new garbage truck. Those things would have to follow under some of those service programs. That is not a drop down. You can populate it with whatever you'd like to populate. The second one is a drop down, and that is our strategic plan goals. So this goes right back into the 2030 strategic plan that was first adopted in the 2025 budget. These are the pillars. They don't go necessarily into every piece that makes up those goals. These are the actual pillars of that strategic plan. For your reference, those are organizational excellence and staff development, pristine infrastructure and critical facilities, transparent, secure, and accurate financial admin systems, safe and resilient community, communications, and records management. The current service levels. You may not know what the current service levels are, you might have a belief. And so that's why I say this isn't what are the current service levels. These are what you believe the current service level will be. An example of that would be that we have patrol coverage with 5 officers with an average response time of 7 minutes, right? That's what you put in. Or our bathrooms at the park are fully stocked with toiletries and toilet paper, right? Those are the kinds of things that you put in as service delivery goals. What you would put in for the next box is a desired service level for fiscal year 26. So for example, on that same thinking, police, we want to increase to 6 officers and reduce our response time to 5 minutes, down from 7, right? And so that you're trying to show this movement in that service delivery level. And another one could have been like, hey, we want to replace 2 miles of distribution pipe, right? Water. And so those are the kinds of things that you're trying to prioritize. One of them could be, we want to continue to retain staff. So what does that mean? What could that mean? Salary improvements? Could that mean benefits improvements? What does that mean? You're trying to translate. The 5th is an expenditure category, which is also that's a drop down. We only have 3 sub-objects in our budget. We have personnel, operations, and capital outlay. And so you would select whether or not this would fall into a personnel category, operations like, hey, we're using chemicals at the wastewater plant. That would go into operations, or this is for postage operations. And the capital outlay are like, we need trucks, we need to buy new radios, we need laptops, whatever it is, that's capital outlay. And we're going to take this and align it, like I said earlier, with our capital improvement project or capital improvement plan that staff is currently putting together. I think Nikki already has like 18 things on there. Yeah, so. Estimated cost. This is where you're just going to type in the number, what you think it would cost. You can do research. You can make this however you want it to be, but you put in an estimated cost. You don't have to worry about putting in a dollar sign. You don't have to worry about commas. It does that automatically. Then we're going to talk about proposed funding source. So these are the things like, how do we fund it? So, my favorite question to ask is if you want to make changes, we won't pay for it, right? And we've listed some of them. I put them in this instruction sheet, the first tab, for you to keep referencing. So for example, like in the general fund, property sales tax, marijuana excise, HUTF, permits or fines. Those are all of our subcategories within revenue for the general fund. I do want to say, I think it's our marijuana, the $5 fee.
Occupational.
So the occupational tax, that transaction fee no longer has to be used for capital improvement projects going into fiscal year 26. It has sunset to go into our general fund. So it's available for any purchase of the general fund. That's how that law was written. Am I correct in that it ends in 26?
Yeah, ends in 25.
It ends this year going into 26 to go into the general fund for any purchase, any qualified purchase in the general fund. CIP, that's our capital improvement plan. How are we going to pay for it? Is it grants? Is it SRF funding? How do we pay for this? Sewer, water, trash. The big one is charges for service, right? It's our rates. It's our different rates. Sidewalk improvements, our $3 sidewalk fee. And then you're going to prioritize it. So you're going to prioritize, and this is a drop down too. It's H, so you can't have like H plus or M minus. It's HML. High priority must have in fiscal year 26. Medium, important, but can wait or be scaled. Low, L, is desired but least urgent. And so when we look at the actual worksheet, it looks something like, it's really simple. It looks like a departmental scorecard, but with these fields that you can populate. So if I were to go through this, I would say increase post-certified officers. And then for this one, I would say it's organizational excellence, staff development, current service level. We have 5 current Post certified officers. Desired service level, we need 6. So it's that simple. And then when you're talking about an expenditure category, it's personnel, estimated cost. I think our lowest paid officers, like, what you say, is what? An hour? Okay, I have to do that quick math. Not here. So we'll just say estimated cost. And if you just do it by salary, it's going to be 59,000. Populate C, so you don't have to worry about doing that. And then we'll say that's a height. There's also a section for your notes. So if you have notes, you have questions that you want to ask throughout the process, write them down there. This is our way of compiling all of your thoughts so that we can help to inform the budget. I know I dropped this on you today, but it is something since we are heavy in the budget season. Is there any questions on this?
Yeah, I do. I have to say, like, it feels a little backwards to me. It feels like, you know, with our department heads and our departments, you guys know what you're wanting. It seems like we as trustees should be able to see the full list and then go through and rank it. I mean, I'm not going to dive down into this level.
Sure.
And I may say things of like, we need to decrease current service level. So it feels a little backwards to me. It feels like I'm not exactly sure what you're wanting. I mean, I understand, but I think what it's really going to come down to is us taking all of the goals of the department, saying department heads, and like, these are the 10 we can achieve. So I don't know, it feels like, I don't know how much valuable input we're going to be able to give to this.
I think you can give a lot of input, and I think that this is an important step. So you as the trustees, this is your biggest thing, is producing a budget.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, and so what I think you guys should be showing us is what you really want to see as, I mean, if you're hearing things out with residents, you could be able to start putting that into some sort of a document. And so what we can do is, they're talking about capital improvement planning, right? They're looking at like purchasing new equipment, new vehicles, major construction projects that need to be planned. That's what we're bringing. I've got to have some sort of direction when I start making our personnel, like what we're going to do for personnel in our budget. And this is giving me direction on doing that. So as I've said in the last 2 years when we've been making these budgets, is that, for example, for personnel, once we get to a point where that final or that draft has been presented to you, this is, you know, you guys have said in the past, we want to give raises. We want to be able to retain and attract talented staff. And so what we did is I go through a spreadsheet, right? And I have a spreadsheet where I put together the total cost of every employee. I didn't know if we want to keep doing that. So I'm not just doing work ahead of time. I need to know what your goals are for the town so that I can start building that budget.
I agree, Trustee Pro Tem Schwartz. I have no idea what the staff want. I would like to see what the staff feels like they need first, and then say, oh, how about I have this one thing, but I can't fill this out. I don't know what the cost is of people's salary. I feel I don't feel like I have, and I'm a mayor, that I have the requisite full knowledge of how I would fill this out and make it meaningful. I think it'd be better if we saw what staff are saying they would like and see if that comports. Do we feel like we can afford it? I personally would say yes. I think the form you did on salaries was excellent. I wouldn't want to change that, but I don't know what I would fill in here, honestly, Stefan.
So you guys have to understand that I need direction. And so that's what I'm asking for. In order to present a preliminary budget, I have to have some sort of direction on what you think are appropriate service delivery levels. And if I don't have that, then I don't know where to begin.
At this point, sorry, go ahead.
All I was gonna say is all we'd be doing would be greasing a squeaky wheel, but that isn't necessarily the one that needs fixing. I put it that way. It's better to know what they need, you know.
And I appreciate that. So I appreciate that perspective. And like I said, they're putting things together, but there are things at the end of the day that if there's not an alignment from the board that with staff, we're gonna have issues.
You're gonna come up with 8 different, sorry.
That's okay.
Trustee Hunter?
Oh, sorry.
Go,
I
sorry.
didn't see your
She didn't, I know you didn't see her hand.
I agree with what they're saying. And when I first saw this, it's like, well, what's the starting point, right? Like, do we have something that we review that we would populate this list with in response to? And I would like that as a starting point. So if you gather the information from staff as a starting point, and then, or even take that raw data and have the trustees look at it, but giving us a starting point is something to go through. I mean, on one hand, I appreciate the opportunity. So if there's anything in particular that's very important to trustees, that we can fill this out and give it to you. But I think generally, having something to review, having a starting point from staff would be very helpful.
And we can provide that. I want to get this in front of you now, so you're aware of what the process is going to look like. So we did a workshop last year where, we brought out a board and started putting things on. We did SWOT analysis. That's how we built our strategic plan. And there were some things that came out of that, but we didn't really engage you enough as required by best practices for building a budget. And so this is meant to help prioritize what you will want to do. Now, there are some things that I will put together for you, because there are some things that you need to know. For example, our insurance is going up 13%, right? So across the board, for a benefit for an employee, they're going up 13%. So we're going to have to continue that cost sheet. We don't have an adequate response yet for what our revenues are going to look like from the county. So they owe it to us, but I can't start building revenues until I know where that's at. But what I can tell you is that we're on a downward trend, right? So we see that with every monthly budget to actual. We see that we're seeing less revenue than what we had seen in previous years, sales tax and property tax. And we believe that trend is going to continue. So, we have seen a windfall in money coming into the town, but it's specifically for capital improvement projects. And so when we start talking about, do we really want to continue to invest in employees, which, my goal is to always invest in employees, right? That's something that I need to know from you before I start building that. And because then what that means is that the money that we have in that finite pot for like relations, where, that was a big one in our department head meeting today, was, well, how much do I actually have for big houses? Right? We don't know yet, because if there is something, that first step is building personnel. And if you guys say we want to continue to invest in staff, then that's what's going to become a non-negotiable. That's going to be something that helps guide what is available in that bucket of money, in that pot, to go into operations. And we can start building from there. And that's what I rely on them to prioritize which ones, like shop expenses, those categories, need to have priority over something like postage, right? That's the step. And that's why I'm asking for a general overview of service delivery levels. And like I said, I can provide things to you that will help guide that. Like, hey, we're going to have a 13% increase in health insurance. It's coming. We're going to have, we've already been notified of it. We already know that we're going to have an increase in what we call it in the marine, or CIRSA insurance, right? So that's vehicles and property. Those insurances are also. And so I can give you that kind of information. And as we're finishing up our capital improvement plan document that looks similar to this, where we're going to prioritize it, I can give that to you as well. And we'll align.
Hey, hang on before. Trustee Check, you have anything you'd like to ask or add before we go to round 2 of comments?
No, I agree with starting with an empty spreadsheet. I wouldn't know where to start, what to say about the cost of things. And I feel like it's this like way over my head here about trying to guess at what you need.
Trustee Stelter.
I see this as an opportunity to shape the direction of the town and call it a dream sheet. We used to do this in the Army a lot. And you have your dream sheet basically says, what are we planning to do? How are we going to get there? And in a lot of times, we changed up our way of doing things by saying that we didn't need 25 guys on guard duty every day. We go ahead and put people up. Instead of guard duty, we went to construction, that kind of thing. And it worked because we were in an area where we were changing rapidly. And that's what's happening in the town, changing rapidly. I think that we can put priorities and use it as a priority list, kind of figure that this is what we want to do in an ideal situation. And a lot of it's going to be shot down, but use it as our goal. And maybe we can't achieve this goal because of money or whatever else, but there are many things that we can say that this is our aim, this is where we're going, and we can aspire to that. And I think this is a start. It's kind of hard to start at the beginning, but I got a better idea of what Administrator Wynn is looking for by his explanation. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm ready to try.
I just wanted Trustee Valentine to have a chance. Trustee Valentine, did you have any questions or any input you'd like to add?
I think that's an interesting perspective, Trustee Stelter's comment. There's more to the budget than just what the staff needs. And this is a chance to sort of push the boundaries and to brainstorm. As long as we don't need to be accurate about the amounts and all that information, it's a good opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
So-
Administrator Wynn.
What you can also do is, so we've heard like different nonprofits requesting some sort of financial support from the town that we may have missed in previous years. This is an opportunity, if you're involved with some of those nonprofits, to also add that as, hey, this is a service that we want to do, human services, and add those kinds of things in. What I can offer you is I can pre-populate this with what I would consider high priorities, one of them being personnel, and give that to you ahead of time in cells that you cannot change, except for how you prioritize it. And then you can actually have that to help with putting some things into place. The intent is to use this document with what staff produces to help try to align where this budget needs to go for fiscal year 26.
If we feel that.
Trustee, hang on, Trustee Heck, hold on 1 second. I was gonna let Trustee Hunter speak and then you'll be next. Trustee.
Thank you. I think having a starting point would be great. And I like having the opportunity. So those of us that have other things that we want to put in, but I think having a starting point would be great. So thank you for that.
Trustee Heck.
All I was gonna ask for was a specific target. You know, are we a tourist town? Are we a farm town? Are we a retirement town?
We have a comprehensive plan that explains everything.
Okay, I mean, right, where you're headed is, you're gonna need more of this and maybe less of this, and, you know, where on the other hand, you might need more of that, and you do this, and things like that. So what exactly is the target? You know, you need a target before you pull the trigger, otherwise you get in a lot of trouble.
I guess I'm not understanding the question.
Okay, are we a tourist town, are we an ag town, or are we a retirement?
That's your decision to make.
And I would recommend you look at the comprehensive plan because it really starts out with what the vision is for
The
Bayonne
vision
as a
is,
start.
the vision is vague.
What's
It's a
that?
little bit of everything. A
That's-
little bit of everything?
And that's the kind of the content and the input we got from the public on the comprehensive plan. And then our strategic plan too, which is in the front of the budget book.
Yeah, I did
So,
read it. I
yeah,
did.
anyway, to me, that will be helpful, but anyway, so I just want to give you those tools to look at to maybe help
I
answer
have
that
a-
question.
I have a,
Okay. Yes. trustee.
Okay, so as I'm thinking about this as my role as a trustee, I think the details that you brought up make sense for staff, but they don't make sense for us as trustees. Like, I'm thinking about, like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I think you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say on these things, because I think we're going into, like, I look at the state with $1 billion deficit, there's gonna be less state money, there's gonna be less federal money. And I think what I'm gonna be coming at is like, we need to tighten everything up. And it's like, so it could be, so if I'm looking at my role as a trustee to think, it's the big picture, it's like, okay, we're gonna limit increases on our bills to our citizens, we're gonna not add new staff, like, we're gonna, I'm just making hypotheticals, but I think as I'm going into this, I'm thinking we're gonna have, as you just pointed out, there's a downward trend in revenue, we see expenses going up, and we can't keep going like we have been going. So if you're looking for a high level direction from a board and not at the level of, we need to reduce our police response time to 5 minutes, that's not at our level. But the thing I'm curious about is how do you take all 8 of our things, and I think we're gonna have very different responses, and then come to an agreement of the high level, like, where do we as a board want to go? What's the direction we're giving you? So the first step is, like, what I don't want to see happen is we all just give you our spreadsheets, but we really got to come back together and say, what is this direction we're giving you? So I see this, and I just have to think bigger about, I don't think this is a dream budget for me. This is going to be like, this is a realistic budget. That's my perspective.
And so that's a good point. So I want the varying perspectives and opinions, right? Because there are some things where we may have some dream budget items that we should start planning for in the future, right? 5-6 years from now. And the way that we come together, that's why we're ranking them with high, medium, low priority. And so if you're saying, hey, we want to maintain staffing levels, maybe not increase them, but maintain them, that would be a good source of program. Maintain staffing levels. I would ask that you would do it by the department level, right? So it'd be maintain staffing levels at town hall, maintain staffing levels at public works, and then go from there. And so that's the kinds of things we're asking for to give direction to help inform this upcoming budget. This is something that we didn't do last year, and there was requests to participate more in the budget process, have more public input, so that this is the direction I'm trying to take and getting more input from everyone.
Could you, when you report percentages of increase in insurance and health insurance, et cetera, could you give that in a dollar amount?
Yes.
Because a percentage, I don't know what
Right.
it's a percentage.
So I'll have to do that. I did a spreadsheet last year. I have it broken down by employee and what they elect. We are planning to meet ahead of time, because it is going up 13% across the board, to see if we can change some of our insurance programs. One of them being the second tier that nobody uses that we currently offer, getting rid of it and offering a lower PPO that employees may take that is not going up 13%. But would help us maintain that same level that we plan to present to staff here in the next few weeks. And then what we're trying to do is, in the middle of September, understand what staff plan to elect come open enrollment in October to help inform this budget process. And so we can put a number to it once we have what they plan to elect. We can do it based on what their current insurance is.
That would help.
And we can give you that.
So we can see just how many more thousands are we talking about coming out of that personnel budget.
And what I want you guys to understand is we are doing our best as well to try to reduce what we expenditures as well. And so that's some of the stuff going on behind the scenes that isn't at that 30,000 foot level. But yeah, we can put together those. I already have the spreadsheets. I just have to update.
And it's helpful that you've created that new table with how we're doing month to month in terms of our unencumbered surplus.
Oh, right, yes.
And have it continuing to do that is really helpful too, so we can see how much do we have over and above what our current budget is in terms of revenue and expenses, which we're doing pretty well except for garbage. Everything else.
Hopefully that turns around soon.
Right, but that's really the only fund that seems to be not keeping with the percentage per month, out of the 12 months of the year.
Correct. We still have a surplus of funds, right, in garbage. That fund balance is still healthy, but we're drawing down off of that every month. I'm trying to recover the costs.
Okay. Anyway, if you could provide starting point, that would be excellent.
And that's, I wanted to get this in front of you,
Yeah.
to have this exact conversation, because I knew it was gonna be different, and I knew it was gonna be, so. And that's something I can easily prove now. It'll take me
And
some time,
so do you want to have that in the next packet?
sure can,
Is that timely for you,
it is.
or do we need to see it sooner somehow?
No, we can be in the next packet. And by then I should have a better idea on where we're going with insurance and those costs. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Anything else? Well, we spent time on this particular tool. Anything else that's in the scorecard? If anybody has any questions on? Go back to the agenda packet. I'm seeing some that are finished,
Correct.
but it doesn't say so in the scorecard. You know,
If they're mine, I haven't updated it
it's
yet.
kind of a little, it's sort of a thrown around that we made good progress. Okay.
I have two questions. The first one is, well, they're both kind of related to when do you think the projects will be brought before the board? And that is with the hydrogeological study and the code rewrite.
Yeah, so code rewrite needs to get restarted. Did Leslie get a hold of you today? So we've heard from Leslie to restart that process. But we've got a timeline from, I don't remember what it is, from DOLA and what it needs to be done. But it's something that we need to restart. As far as the hydrogeological study, my understanding is they collected all of the data they needed out on the mountain, and all they're doing now is putting a report together. We need that in order to go forward with WaterSmart, and that's another item that I'll talk about later. But that hydro study is in progress. They've collected all the information off the mountain. They're putting it into a final.
And then I'm assuming we'll have a public presentation on that.
That's the goal.
And then it'll be a whole process from there and how it relates to the moratorium.
Correct. And so my goal is to take that hydro study to help inform the WaterSmart.
Anyone else? And anything from Public Works?
I was just gonna say I had it wrong on my calendar, so I was updating mine today. You'll have an updated one next time.
Anything from Chief Lamenter for tonight? Okay. Thank you. If everybody's good with that, we'll move on to actions and presentations. And I
I'm
don't.
sorry, there was one more.
Oh, sure.
And so this was added to our agenda packet. Our clerk had found some misnumbering of ordinances, and she's corrected that with this memorandum.
Page 24.
And just to give you some information, we use a shared spreadsheet showing what's next in line. There was an issue with syncing that document across multiple computers. That has been, we've taken care of it, right?
Yeah, it's taken care
That's why there's another RFQ on here too. So, yeah.
Okay. Actions and presentations. Number one, consideration of the citizen committee members for the ad hoc short-term rentals committee. And
Oh, I'll get that.
okay.
Okay, so as you all know, we put out a application, and we were, I think, very pleased by the results. We had 5 applicants choose to apply, which is great, because often, when we have committees or whatnot, nobody chooses to apply, and it takes many, many months and rounds. So we had 5 applications, and 4 of those applicants chose to present at the August 19th meeting, where they had 3 minutes to present, and then we could ask questions of them. We had a scoring rubric, and from that group, we select, and it was important for us that we had a diversity of opinions to round out the committee. Of that, we selected Sam Staley, and then Julie Ann Bennett to be our public representatives. I think we're gonna have a fantastic committee. We will be meeting every first and third Tuesday of the month, or the first and third Tuesday of the month from 4 to 5:30. We would like the meetings to be available via Zoom, but we decided we don't want them available via YouTube. And my hope is that staff can assist with at least setting up the Zooms for those. We don't have the objectives or the timeline. That's the first order of business when we meet next Tuesday to discuss this. And then we're just gonna crank through it. So I don't know, anything else that the other committee members would like to add?
I think we're gonna have a lot of public input. And my hope is that those that were not selected will also participate in this process and provide the information that they've gathered as well to help us inform where the committee will go. And I thought we had a pretty good turnout for, like you said, when we put it out, we never get anybody, and this time we got quite a few to go.
That's all I have. Oh, sorry.
Trustee Hunter?
Wait, but was the meeting well attended other than the applicants?
No.
It's just the applicants, okay.
Clerk Benner.
I have one question. Sorry, I was clarifying things. Did you have a deadline for when you guys were going to bring this back? Did I miss that?
We don't have that yet, but I would like this on the next trustee meeting, because then we'll have our deadlines and our objectives.
Any other questions? Trustee Valentine, now that you got more info, any questions from you?
No, thank you.
Okay. We look forward to learning more. So our item number 2, consideration of a modification of premises for Blue Sage liquor license to include Sage Alley.
So it's pretty straightforward. You guys approved the Sage, or as you know, Sage Alley has been built, and now that it's complete, they're just wanting to expand their liquor license to include their fenced-in area in the back for during shows. It's a pretty simple process. I mean, they have closed-off gates, they'll have the signage that they need. So all the legal requirements of it are met. So now it's just up to whether or not our local licensing authority, which is you, are amenable to that.
Can I make a clarification of the budget? We're not spending money, that's a revenue account, so we're receiving in that money to the revenue account.
Yeah.
Any questions from the trustees? Yes, trustee Stoll.
All legal, state and local, ordinances, laws are being followed.
Yes. And there's no issues from any of the different departments of administration, public works, or police either.
I have a question, and I've been in there a long time too. Are they just serving beer and wine, or do they have a full liquor license? Are they also doing spirits?
I would have to double check because they have an arts license, which is different than the other ones.
Hang on one second. Hang on. Good. Hang on 1 second. Let me just see if there are any other questions, and then I'll ask for public comment, which sounds like you have an answer.
I believe they can do all 3 with their arts license.
We'll have any other questions before I wait? Come on up, and you can clarify for us as part of your public comment. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sally Kane. I live out of town limits, and I am the part-time operations director at the Blue Sage Center for the Arts. Recently, part of the reason that position came up is because the facility now with Curtis Hall and the old bank building in Sage Alley is quite valuable and has a lot of things that go with it to take care of it as something on the historic register, et cetera. So that is the role I'm stepping into. You all mapped out the process for us to create what is now the Sage Alley from what it was. And I want to commend you for doing that because it's a beautiful, beautiful result. It's much better built and it just flatters the whole property. So thank you for that. And we serve spirits and spirited people. And I've been really just pleasantly surprised by how many people just stop in and appreciate it. And I wanted to extend an invitation to any of you to come by whenever you'd like and get a special tour of it. September 12th is when we're hoping to have an opening celebration. You're all invited. And provided that this is approved by you, we will celebrate and have a number of local musicians performing, and we're really looking forward to it. So thank you.
Thank you. How does that elicit any further questions from trustees? Okay. Yes,
I just wanted to clarify one more thing, because it's one of the questions I asked, that this expanse of the liquor license still does not include any upstairs stuff. It's just for the ground floor and the outside patio, just because that was a question I asked, so.
okay, somebody ready to make a
I'll
motion?
move that we grant the modification of premises from Sage Alley.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. Thanks for a more thoughtful discussion too. It's nice to see you.
Item number 3, consideration of an intergovernmental agreement with Delta County elections for November 4th, 2025 election. Back to Clerk Better.
So we have our normal November 4th election coming up. And there's a resolution next on the agenda, which is what we'd like to put on there. Myself and town attorney Buchanan worked on this together. There's part of the statute that requires us to do our I'm so sorry, my mind just. Disbursements. Thank you. Disbursements, financial statements and things like that, and they're supposed to be published as well in the paper. With a vote of the electors, though, we can take that expense off of ourselves and actually do those just on our town website, which we already do. That's like our primary way of putting those things out, either in the packet, or we now have a whole public hearing and public notice page that's just specific for things that legal notices that we publish in the paper as well. So we'd like to enter into the agreement. This is actually a better, since it's a normal election, it means it's going to be split amongst many communities. So it's actually more than likely going to be one of our cheaper elections that we probably get to do. So it's a good time to get it going, and it'll make it easier to work that change into our budget for next year as well, taking that added expense off. I guess I just explained 2 items for you guys at the same time. I apologize.
I guess, sorry.
Go right ahead.
The only question I have is, so if you fax this off before you leave and still close the business today, it's in time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's fine.
Yes.
Oh, I'm assuming we'll have the April election.
Yes.
The thing that's like, I'm like, it's $2,600. And if I look at, since we've really reduced the disbursements, like we've really just looking at the expenses, I think we pay like $30 a time.
Yes.
Ish, and that's like 88 times. So it's like in order to make it so it seems reasonable to do it now versus in April. And so I'm like, why spend the money if we can just add it on in April?
And actually, I have 2 really good answers for that, if I may. So number 1, we're getting into a point like we have 4 RFPs on this thing, which means 4 contracts that will also be going out. So it's not just, what we found out is it's not just disbursements. It's financial statements, it's in contracts, any of those things that go on has to be done this way as well. So it'll save us a little bit more money in that, especially since we're going to be going into a much bigger project season in 2026. We're going to have more contractors, more moving parts. And the other thing is there's 4 seats open in April. And we all know it's always kind of up in the air whether we get enough people to where we can have an election, or if we get just enough people for the seats and can cancel an election and save ourselves the expensive one if we don't need to. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's kind of a better bet to do this in November, because depending on what happens in April, we may not have to do anything with the election. Point. And then, like I said, this also does give us a chance to work this into a budget to where, you know, maybe that money might be something that can go towards something else. You're right, as of right now, it's not a ton, but as we found out over the past years, even those small amounts really add up over time.
I'm wondering if this should be reversed. Don't you need the resolution approved before you do the IGA?
No, because you have to say it's okay for us to go into the election first.
But if the resolution doesn't pass, right, there's nothing to put on the ballot?
Then we just let them know that they can cancel the IGA.
Okay, so the IGA comes.
Yeah, so I have a certain amount of time up to that I can tell them that, never mind, we're not gonna do it without it incurring
Okay.
expense at all.
Anybody in the public that would like to comment on this issue or on Zoom? Seeing no hands. Okay,
Anybody?
sure.
If I may.
Yeah, anyone else have questions prior to trustee Pro Tem Schwartz? Okay, go right ahead.
Okay, so only because, yeah, they are so connected. Let's see, to reduce the town's financial burden concerning publishing proceedings, review of payment of bills, and statements concerning their contracts. What does that mean again? Like statements concerning their contracts? Is that just a statement?
No,
Or-
we still have to like the only thing I can still publish by title, because we had that in the last election, our ordinances. Anything else has to go in full. So, you know, disbursements go in the way they go, they have to have the list of who it is and how much they get and da 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 da. And if it comes down to the contracts and the statements, it's gonna be in full.
It's like the whole contract?
To my knowledge, Town Attorney Buckner would probably have a better one, because I and him have talked about this quite a bit. Most municipalities have moved over to this because this isn't something that a lot of people pay much of attention to, so he probably has a better answer for you than I do on.
Claire, are you okay answering that question? If it's, the contract must be published in full?
It's a specific question.
Say it again.
Can you guys hear me? I'm dealing with
Yes.
total outage here. And so if you can even see me, I'm using my light from my computer. What was the specific question?
Oh, the question is, based on the statute requiring some sort of contract being published in a public notice, to your knowledge, is the entire contract that a town has entered into have to be published in total in the public notice section?
I think it's I think the language in the statute is the disbursements. Again, I can't, everything, again, I apologize, everything here is
Said he was having trouble, didn't he? His voice was coming and going.
I can tell you that Clay is the one who wrote the resolution, so, you know, he had to do the research behind that, so the wording that's in there is in there for a reason. He, like I said, he can explain it better than I can on what that would be.
Yeah, stick with me here. Sorry, guys. I'm dealing, I said that we're in a total power outage, and so I don't have Wi-Fi, and because nobody has Wi-Fi, I think our you know, our network is really bogged down. I'm gonna turn off my camera to see if I can get a clear voice, because it takes up bandwidth. And I do have a little bit of battery left on my computer. I'm going to that resolution here. Hold on.
And I know the statute mentions contracts, but I don't remember the text that goes with it. So our concern is, would the entire 30-page contract that we're about to sign for whatever, would that have to be published in the public notice section in full?
Right. So the way that I read the statute is that it's just a publication of disbursements. and I don't know, because this is one of those kind of obscure statutes that not a lot of municipalities are paying attention to or comport with on a regular basis. But it does say that it requires all proceedings relating to bills and statements and their contracts approved by the board of trustees be published in a newspaper. And so I think then those have to do with the disbursements. So my answer would, I mean, I don't know that for sure, because there's not a lot of research or case law on this, because as I stated, it's a very obscure statute. My understanding is you just have to publish the proceedings and the disbursement, and that the contract itself is not required to be published. In any event, it's, that could be pages as well, depending on, the documents that encapsulate whatever proceeding led to that. And I think you can do that through the form of minutes, is my understanding, in talking to a few people about the statute that are, attempt to abide by the requirements here. And so the answer is, honestly, I don't know for sure. I don't think you have to print the entire contract, because it doesn't say that. The statute says that you have to publish proceedings of the disbursement. And so you could do like a minutes. This person said this, they talked about this, the contract was adopted, the dispersed amount was this amount. And I think you could do it through a synopsis format if you wanted to. But I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
Or our packets and our minutes that we publish on our town website would comport with this.
Any other thoughts, comments on the IGA, and then we'll move on to the resolution? Yes,
Just
trustee
a
Hunt.
comment. I definitely appreciate Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz's concerns, and I also appreciate Town Clerk Better's responses, and I would be of the opinion to move forward with this.
Any other comments? Am I ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the IGA between Town of Peonia and Delta County Elections.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously, and so then we'll turn our attention to the content of the ballot language under item 4, consideration of resolution 22-2025, setting ballot language for allowing the publication of disbursements to be made on the town website and at town hall instead of a newspaper. So,
I do want to clarify one thing. When we go to pay for this, it's not just going to be out of general fund, it'll be out of all of our funds, including enterprise.
you're referring to when something has to be published in the paper?
I mean, when we pay for the election, it'll come out of all of our funds.
Gotcha. Clerk Vetter, go ahead.
I did just want to say, and along with the discussion of the last thing, I get it. This is very much a housekeeping item to tie up some loose ends to make sure that we're being compliant with statute. And so that's the biggest part of this for at least for me, for getting this on the ballot, getting taken care of.
Mr. Schwartz.
Are there any other things that we could add in there? Because I know like we could have done it last time, but it
If
wasn't.
you can get me language by September.
No, not for a new vote, but like for the publishing of proceedings, because, you know, it could have gone on the last one, but we didn't think about it. I didn't think about it. And is there any other things that are like,
Outstanding.
that we should be publishing that we could add into here? That would be my only thought.
This one came up because of a really spirited discussion on Craigslist.
Hmm.
And so we started digging into things. To my knowledge, no, but again, I would have to defer to our town attorney.
Yeah, I think this and the publication by title are the big ones. The publication by title is obviously a little different and will be used a lot more often. And here, where you're, publishing proceedings and or statements concerning the contracts that go along with the payment of these bills, et cetera. Again, this is an obscure and widely unacknowledged statute, but it is there, and it's good to abide by statutes, and we're a statutory town, and this is a delineated workaround to the publication, which I think should and could and should be taken advantage of to if we're going to start complying with this, it's going to start costing the town a lot more money, and publishing those statements and proceedings. So I don't know of anything else is the answer. I haven't seen any other publication by title only type things or like this where we are shortening a publication. This is basically a publication by title, just in another form from going from the topic of ordinances to the topic of proceedings and statements. And so I don't think we're missing anything at this point. And as soon as I say that, of course, something else might come up, but I've never seen anything else like this.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Anyone in the audience have any comments or on Zoom? Seeing none, thank you. Anyone ready to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 22-2025 to submit a ballot question on the town being allowed to publish proceedings related to the payment of bills and statements on the town website only.
I'll second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. And hang on one second. I was instructed that this needs to go out through whatever process we do these days. Today is the 20th. It's not fax? What is today? 26? 26. Okay, thank you. Okay. I mean, I fax it. Please go. Good work. You tell where I started in my career. All right, we are moving on to item number 5, consideration of the Colorado grant thank you letter for $70,000 grant for bathroom upgrades. I did a revision and and if just for folks listening, I had done one draft and then realized that in my first draft that we presented at our last meeting, I did not acknowledge the things the town said it would do with that money. So I went back in and revised the letter. And does anybody have any changes to the letter? Any comments? Anything? Straight? Okay. Anybody in the audience or on Zoom? Okay. Thank you. All right. So
I make a motion that we approve the signing and then send to the thank you letter to the Colorado grants for the grant.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. And that's one of the things besides that disbursements, I'll have you all sign tonight before we adjourn the meeting. And let's see, the next item is consideration of ordinance 25-06, changing chapter 2, article 6 for the zoning board of adjustments. And I was going to ask Stefan to kind of give the background for this.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Draft ordinance 25-08.
Sorry, I have my things cut off. Just all the things. Just fixed. I know. And it took a while to figure out how to get on there. So now we all know we're on 8. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is something that has come up, and this is another housekeeping item that needs to be corrected. Should have been corrected years ago, but it needs to be corrected as soon as possible. What this says is it clarifies that the role of the zoning board of adjustment appeals is specific to chapter 16 of our code. As it read with that second sentence, it sounded like any decision of the board of trustees or any piece of the code could be varied. A variance could be heard by this appellate body, which isn't the case, nor was it the intent. And so that's why that's what this ordinance is about. It's just cleaning things up to say that this is specific to zoning, like the zoning board of adjustments is meant to do. So the name.
Yes, I just have a question. So in the ordinance on the second page under section 1, it just has the strike through of what is being deleted. Should it be stated that that section 2-8-40, numbers 1 and 2 are remaining? Or is that understood because it's not stricken?
I think it's understood. Yeah, yes.
I wonder the same thing. Any questions on what's being proposed?
And perhaps what we can do when this goes to be codified with Muni Code and a note that says, hey, we're keeping the other 2 paragraphs. I mean, just for extra clarity. It's not necessary, but I've seen stranger things happen.
Anybody in the audience or on Zoom with a comment on this proposed ordinance? Seeing none. Back to trustees. Yes.
I'm going to make a motion if you're ready for it.
Put together, ready? I think we're set. Go ahead, sorry.
I move to approve ordinance number 25-08 with the understanding that Paonia Municipal Code Section 28-40 parts 1 and 2 remain unchanged.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, consideration of the RFQ 2025-05 IT professional services.
On any given Monday, you can hear us cussing our IT services. And that's, and not to disparage our existing IT services, but this contract has been in place for over a decade. I don't know when the last time something went out for an RFQ. We've exhausted all extensions in the original agreement, and we're operating on an annual, year-to-year basis. It doesn't do us any good. What we're looking for is we put this RFQ together for an all-encompassing IT service, IT managed services program. What that means, which I had to look up, Sam had to look up as well, is with those scope of services, there's different tier levels. We are asking for a tier 3 advanced IT and systems management. When you get to tier 4, that's a third party that your managed services would seek. There may be instances where they have to find a subcontractor, and I'll give you one where Verkada, who's installing our camera systems, would be that tier 4 because they're specialized services in that IT or that hardware and software for that camera services. What we're looking for is all the way up to tier 3 where they come in and actually do our IT. If this passes tonight, it will go on our BidNet Direct tomorrow, and we'll start soliciting responses. What this will also do is it will cause me to write a letter, a notice of termination to our existing IT services. They're more than welcome to submit on this again. It'll be rough, it'll be tough for them because if they're going to come down on price, why haven't they come down on price before, right? And so there's some things there's some obstacles they would have to come over. But they are still welcome to go through. What you may see in the next couple of meetings is an addendum to their existing agreement that says that they will stay on to assist with whatever firm is selected to help with that transition. So that may be coming as well. But this is desperately needed. The responsiveness varies. When I first got here, I saw issues, but staff had said the responsiveness was good. It's steadily decayed since 23, and it's time to start looking for another provider. That's all I got on this. So if you've had a chance, I did make. Was this what I changed? I don't think so.
I can't remember. No, it was Watch Smart.
So there were some edits made to other RFQs. This one, it is as presented. I had issues with counting for points, maximum points on a couple of RFQs. So this was okay.
Questions, comments from trustees? Okay, the one thing I wanted to add is it looks like a really important point is that right now, our current IT provider does not do what we would like them to do for the police because of that security clearance.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So in order to be able to do security compliance with the police department, which means accessing their laptops, their computers, and being able to provide the support necessary for their records management system, they have to be CGIS level 4. So to put that in perspective, just to walk into the building, a secure facility, to be like a cleaning crew, you have to be CGIS 1. I think by the time you get CGIS level 4, you actually have to pass an exam to be able to provide those IT services. And so that's something our current IT provider isn't able to provide. And so that would be another hurdle for them. But it's our requirements and our needs have changed over time. So
I'm really excited about this one. Well done, staff. I am curious about, I think we should just assume there's going to be a budgetary increase. We pay like $3 or $4 grand a month, I think, and that includes hosting services. So we should just kind of know going into it, but we're going to get what we need out of it. And having just good IT is life changing, as y'all know.
So I wouldn't go into this thinking that it might go up because there were some things that we cleaned up as well. So like, and just to put this so you guys are aware, we are paying for a full G3 license for email addresses or accounts that are no longer here, right? So and asking to reduce those to like a G1 license where it just keeps their email and so we can go back and reference emails. It's not being done. G3 means that you have access to email, but you also have the full access to Microsoft Office 365. And so those costs, I suspect they would go down, but there may be a trade-off for to get that CGIS compliance. Our best case scenario is it remains the same, right? So better level of service.
Anything else? Who is ready for a motion?
I'll move to approve RFQ 2025-05.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, and we're moving on to RFQ number 2, which is the Water Smart Consultant, which we have paper copies of and we were emailed, I believe it was this morning. Glad your voice is back.
It's been a while. Okay, so haven't had a chance to update this entire thing. This one did have a change that will be made before tomorrow, and I'll point that out. So I do want to say that even though you would, let's say you would approve this tonight, the final, if you do make a motion to approve it, please condition it on receiving any changes needed by the Bureau of Reclamation, the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, the granting agency. So I've sent it to them to review before it goes out. Typically with federal grants, they like to see what the RFQ looks like and approve it, at least for projects. I haven't heard back from them on whether or not they want to review it. I've already sent it to them. So if there is that, please condition it that if there is changes required by USBR, that we make those that's still okay with you. This is needed, and like I said, with the hydrogeological study, the hope is that once we get somebody selected, that hydro study, or at least a draft of it, will be available for them to help inform where this project goes. So this was written specifically off of the grant agreement that we have with USBR and the deliverables that they want to see with that grant. And so that's how we came up with the scope of services. One of the things this is now our new template for how RFQs go out, RFPs go out. One of the big changes to this template is that there are always going to be 2 attachments. You're going to see an attachment that's called a submittal cover sheet, where each submitter checks the box and presents that in their digital application to say that they have met all of the criteria for these proposals. This is something that I've improved upon because in one of our past RFPs, we had to disqualify somebody because they didn't email it to the emails that were in the RFP. They sent it through BidNet Direct, thinking that was our ADA, one of our ADA consulting firms. So I had to disqualify them because we didn't see it. But we were really specific that it had to be emailed. So now on this cover sheet, it's helping them goes step by step on what's needed. The second attachment that you'll see, and that is going to be a part of every template that we go through with RFQs and RFPs, is that our evaluation criteria is available for them, and the score sheets that we're all going to use. And so those score sheets are really important. We did have some RFQs in the past where people scored differently based on whatever they decided was the way they wanted to go. And this is meant to just streamline that process so that there's never, that it mitigates any sort of challenge to a decision. That's the intent. So that attachment is there. And that final attachment, the evaluation guide. Get to it. Has the numbering wrong. It should be 600, not 500. And so that's the one that needs to change.
Looking for that again. Okay. All right. Any questions, comments? Yes.
Trustee, great job. I mean, just as somebody who's filled out a lot of these in my career, the format was great.
Trustee Hack.
I was just worried, sometimes the bill, the cure is worse than the disease. I know what they're gonna want us to do, and if, they're gonna want, I mean, if he determines what we need to do to keep everybody safe, if he's gonna want bike lanes, which has got a compound parking problem, something significant.
Trustee Hicks, this is Water Smart. You're thinking of the next one, I think, which is
that's the one that's
Safe Streets for All.
I was wrong.
That's coming. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah.
Okay, so I remember, I think it was way back in late winter or sometime in winter, when there was a presentation about the phase 1 water projects. Is this essentially planning out phase 2?
We can't call it that, yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No one in the audience or on Zoom? Okay. Again, somebody ready for a motion?
This one, if you're ready.
All right.
Oh, this one also had another change. I had Safe Streets for All listed in one of their criteria. And that's changed to say that they have to have experience with federal water grants with USP.
I'm sorry, give me more on that change.
Okay,
Oh,
that was
here's, it's on page 6.
under firm qualifications and experience. And so that may have been where some of that confusion came.
Yeah, that's third bullet, isn't it?
Yeah, it needs to say highlight experience with federally funded project, particularly those involving I had it written out, the federal water grants.
So that should be highlighted in the motion as well. Is that your?
It doesn't need to be. I've already made the change and just, but I'll put it out with what we did. Get it on there.
All right, I move to approve RFQ 2025-06 with the following changes that under the maximum score possible on the last page, it's changed from 500 to 600.
Wait.
No, I was confused. So I did the same thing. I confused Safe Streets for All. This numbering is
This
correct.
one's right. Okay, let me start over. Disregard. I move to approve RFQ 2025-06 with the only change being on page 6, proposal requirements number 2, bullet 3, to remove all reference to streets and safe streets for all of the federal water grant language. And also that this be conditional on the receipt and inclusion of any changes from the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation.
Who'd like to second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, another RFQ down.
Okay. In keeping with the theme.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
This is the Safe Streets for All consultant. We did finally get a signed agreement back from DC. So remember, we were going back and forth, finally got that signed agreement and a notice to proceed, so we can go forward with this. If this is approved, it's going to be issued tomorrow. The only change that needs to happen in this one is within the evaluation criteria, maximum points available is 600, not 500. And then also in the attachment B, it also needs to reflect 600 maximum, not 500. Now, this is something that is going to prioritize all of our street repairs and by level of necessity and safety. Yeah, I think it's needed. Our streets are really rough shape.
What was the grant? Or you don't want to say?
It's in here. So the grant was for $293,974. The total project cost is estimated to be $367,468.
Questions, comments?
Yes, okay, just one, I really appreciate, when I first started reading it, I'm like, what about the plan we just had that's being worked on? So I appreciate that. That's mentioned several times and we need to use the data. The second thing is, I was wondering if we could push the deadline up. June 1st, 2027 seems so far from now. Like, do you think it's really gonna take that much time?
So that's so that's the grant agreement. What they do is they give you like this really long time to get it done. So you can, under promise and over deliver, and without having to go back and ask for extensions. So do I think it could, with everything else going on, I think it could take that long. Yes, no.
No.
Okay.
Shoot to 28.
Anyone in the audience or on Zoom with comments, I should say. Okay. All right, trustees, any other questions or comments on RFQ 2025-07? Okay, motion time. Who would like to do this one? We all look around the table. Whose
I'd
turn
like to
is
make a
it?
motion to approve the RFQ 25-07 Safe Streets for All consultants.
You need the errors.
No change.
You have the errors. Okay, all right. Is there a second from the crowd?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, all right. Consideration of RFQ 2025-08, construction management MTOA this is for Fifth and Grant.
Yeah. So we had already selected through a sole source process, construction management, materials testing, and owner's assurance, and that was SGM. That was before we got awarded a build grant. So instead of spending $350,000 out of our surplus revenue for streets, I thought it was prudent to go through the RFQ process to select a consultant to do that work. SGM is still able to bid on the project, and they can still keep their same materials tester that we had already approved. But this all now frees up $350,000 from that build grant to go cover this cost. So essentially, our only cost for the grant is like $38,000, which was our match, $32,000 to $38,000, which was our match for the RMS grant from CDOT. That makes sense. So that's what this is. This is saying, yes, yeah. No, it's waiting. I can see.
Can you see?
I hear it. So, wow, that's great. That's wonderful. But so this says what we've already done with SGM. They already know. I've informed them. I actually had them review this. This is one that has to be approved by CDOT. I sent it to them last week. I'm still waiting on notes to come back. So if there is a motion that you would allow me to make the edits that CDOT requests and still get it out. That's why the issue is to be determined, because I'm waiting on CDOT to get back to me.
You modify the due date if it gets pushed back quite a bit.
That's right. CDOT wants to have this, so that for that, their scheduling purposes, because they're also a pass-through for this SRTS federal grant, and they have to build a schedule and a drawdown schedule for us to pull money from when we do a reimbursement. So there was concern that because it was like double dipping with federal funds, because you have safe routes, we've been awarded safe routes to school, and then there's also this federal component to cover the additional cost to build. We are doing this in conjunction with Federal Highway and CDOT, so that we can take down all of that money and have a really defined scope of work. It's wonderful. Like I said, 38,000 for a $3 million project. It's not so bad.
Yes, Christina?
So I assume that all the dates that need to be inserted on page 1 and 3 of the packet will be filled out once we hear back from CDOT.
That is correct. Actually, those are the things that I asked them to review as well. I did my best using the example they gave me to incorporate everything that is required from the feds as well as from CDOT. So, but I'm sure CDOT will find some comment.
Any comments from the audience or participants on Zoom? Okay, seeing none. Any other trustee comments, questions?
No, my comment is I'd just kick this one down the road and just wait on CDOT. You know, they might throw a ringer in there or something. You know, we approve it without knowing the final facts. Just wait till the next meeting and then approve it.
I will defer to Stefan on timing and content.
Yeah, that is entirely within your purview, just knowing that what this may do is cause a late or a delay in construction. So we won't be able to start in spring, and it'll be more like summer, which then pushes the project.
Yeah, we wish if we kicked it down the road, then, okay, you talked me out of it.
Anyone, did that prompt anything from anyone else? Okay, who would like to make the last motion for the night?
Sorry, trustee Stelter. I move to approve RFQ 2025-08 with the understanding that any edits coming from CDOT will be included, and if they are substantive, that the BOT would be notified via email.
Sure.
And that issue dates and the anticipated schedule will be filled out upon hearing back from CDOT.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, that motion passes, and we're now going to the signature portion of this agenda. Oh, yeah, you want to ride home? You can have a ride home. Or usually like. Actually, here, yeah, you got it. Take it. We will adjourn after. Is there any-
Oh, no, we gotta do this.
Oh,
Sir.
you want some ceviche? It's
I don't
really
have my
good.
card.
Oh,
No. Jeff worked later than I did. That is never happened.
Sorry, we're still.
Yeah, you're still.
Yeah, everybody knows everything.
You're too bad. Okay, I got those. Is that all I need to sign?
believe so. That is it. Okay. Stephen, I'll leave that one with you. You'll be the last signer on the disbursement. Okay, I believe we can adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I love you this one. Just for fixing.
Yeah.